Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopefully elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. Gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopefully elect. And shalom to the Akwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is titled The Devices of the Wicked. Okay? These devils, the Edomites, Amalek, okay? They are trying to destroy you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. Lord's witness be edifying.
Some more cycle projections. I went back to see what Harry Dent's saying, and I haven't talked to Mr. Dent for a few years. He's on record saying that a major financial drop in the stock market, in real estate, is coming between 2020 and 2022.
He's very famous for his book
Demographics, yes.
And specifically the West is not having children. We can't fund our retirement system. Right. So he's projected for a while that if the U.S. didn't solve this, at least for the past 10 years, we were going toward this. Based on most recent events, especially with our currency manipulation and our trade war, I'm sure that's only further escalated his predictions.
That's right. And he's saying we're right on target. We're in a 40-year cycle. He shows a 20-year cycle and a 40-year cycle in the stock market. And the 40-year dip is coming up between 2020 and 2022. Look, we could bypass it, and that's an anomaly. There's no law that says it can't have an anomaly and it doesn't happen.
Right.
But it's highly unlikely.
Or we could try to stack the deck.
Yes.
And make it appear that.
But when you do that, Doc, you don't stop the cycle. You just postpone the cycle, and you make the cycle more extreme.
Right.
So that when it does take place, it comes with vengeance.
Well, derivatives are a prime example of that. I mean, we saw the derivatives come out of both 2001 and 2008, the crashes, the financial problems in those years, and we haven't dealt with it. We have, what, $200 trillion of sovereign debt across the world? That
it's over 300 trillion, okay, but he close.
No one knows where it originated from at this point, but someone is going to have to pay for this, or there's going to be some form of...
And it could be more than 300 trillion, man.
The entire debt of the American...
But these devils talking about it's $22 trillion. No, man. Okay, it's over $200 trillion, man. Okay?
People. It's, corporations, the public, everybody. It's like 2,000 times the gross national product of America.
There used to be a time 160% of the GDP was enough to collapse it. You're saying,
I just read the headline. I didn't go through the whole article. What? At this point, it's so far gone. It really is. It's so far gone. All you're doing now is waiting for the coroner to come in and sign the death certificate. It can't be pulled back unless they do something radical like a war.
Right.
Or
which is going to happen.
Thinning of the herd.
Which is going to happen.
Something extremely radical. Yes. To hold on to power. And I'm not ruling out any of those things. We'll get back to...
Hey, like he said, they're going to bring a war and they're going to thin out the herd, man, which is what? Martial law, man. Okay? They finna do a purge out here, man. And Jake ain't prepared for this, man. Okay? To do what? To keep power, man. Did you hear what Rick Wild just said, man? Let me run it back. They gotta stay in power, man.
Of the herd,
right?
They gotta do something extremely radical, yes, to hold on to power.
Hey, because these Edomites know their kingdom is falling, man, and what they're going to do to try to hold on to power. Here you go.
At some point in your life, you might have heard the phrase, "You can do anything you put your mind to." But if we took that literally, Just how far can we go? What if we could one day have the technology to literally move objects with our minds? This is the fabled idea of telekinesis, an idea once only limited to the sphere of psychic mysticism. There's also the idea of telepathy. Could we one day have the technology to read each other's minds? In some sense, our minds already kind of do both of those things. It's just a matter of how effectively they can do them.
Upgraded minds. Did you
First,
see the
we
movie
discovered
Upgraded?
fire and developed oral communication. Then we turned oral language into writing. And from then on, we found a way to turn that into the printing press. After a few centuries, we happened upon this thing called electricity, which gave rise to telephones, radios, TVs, and eventually, the computer I'm using right now, gradually increasing the bandwidth of mind-to-mind communication. But now, we have a new technology that could reduce this bandwidth even further, the BCI, or Brain-Computer Interface, which holds the ambitious promise of letting your brain communicate directly with the internet. BCIs could very well be the key to making things like telepathy and telekinesis a reality. BCIs are no longer science fiction. There are interfaces out there right now that'll actually let you play the game Pong using only your mind. BCIs are quickly becoming a household name, allowing disabled patients to control their prosthetic limbs and sensory bionics. In fact, some BCIs can now perform real-time speech decoding, translating our brainwaves into written or spoken language. And we've started using them to communicate with people who have severe neurodegenerative disorders. For example, researchers from Stanford University have now built a BCI that lets paralyzed people literally type with their brains, using nothing but electrode arrays implanted into their motor cortex. In the study, researchers asked 3 patients with Lou Gehrig's disease to imagine the hand movements that they'd use to write any letter of the alphabet. They then had the BCI transmit the desire to write any specific letter into a series of digital signals so that the computer could type the letter for them. One of the patients was able to type 39 correct intended characters, which is about 8 words per minute, all without using autocomplete or spell check.
Wow.
We've also begun to develop BCIs that let our brains talk directly to these computers, which could open the door to even higher ambitions, like mind uploads or human immortality. And of course, I'm talking about neural lace, which appears to be Silicon Valley's next big obsession. Neural lace is a term coined by the famous sci-fi author Ian Banks, defined as a device that allows brain-to-brain communication between any 2 humans, or between humans and AI. It's usually described as a kind of net, with thousands or even millions of electrodes, communicating with the neurons to let us upload or download thoughts from the internet. And there are now 3 big tech entrepreneurs who are trying to make it a reality. Braintree founder Brian Johnson and his company Kernel. Mark Zuckerberg with the V8 neuroprosthetic. And of course, Elon Musk with his famous new company, Neuralink. All 3 of them are trying to develop this neural lace technology for real, and they all have one very strange reason for doing so: to prevent an AI takeover by simply merging with the AI. Because if we can't beat them, then we might as well join them. This motive isn't as crazy as you might think. We already live in a world where artificial intelligence has begun to exceed the human capacity for learning. So to avoid a fatal outcome, they're trying to cultivate a technology where we can interact as naturally with our machines as we do with each other. The first of these projects is Kernel, a new company started by Brian Johnson, with the lofty goal of turning the brain into a custom programmable device. Johnson sold his first company, Braintree, to PayPal for over $800 million, and he's now investing $100 million of that into Kernel's new BCI project, a technology he calls a neuroprosthesis, a series of microelectronic devices and non-invasive surgeries that could better interconnect our machines to individual neural pathways.
The RFID microchip, man.
The end goal of this neuroprosthesis is a kind of enhanced intelligence, where by understanding our neural code, we'll be able to interface with artificial intelligence and download its programs directly into our minds. It sounds pretty ambitious, but But if you reconsider the human body as simply just a device capable of inputting, processing, and outputting information, then it turns out that the weakest part of that device is its bandwidth, the speed or rate that we take in data.
Wow.
Even with present-day technology like smartphones, we humans still possess a very low bandwidth, along with very inefficient user interfaces. However, Kernel is looking to create implantable brain chips with sensory augmentations that could expand that bandwidth, and begin the first step for our partnership with AI. This brain chip technology is based on the work of Dr. Theodore Berger, a professor of neuroscience at the Center for Neural Engineering in the University of Southern California. Johnson's device is actually based off 15 years of academic research, pioneered by DARPA and the NIH. However, Kernel still has yet to produce any human trials with these brain chips, so only time will tell if they can deliver on these ambitions. Next, there's Facebook's V8 neuroprosthetic, which has now also joined the neurotech arms race, with the intent of creating the very first website experience centered around BCI. Last year, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg announced that the company was beginning work on a new BCI that would let users type simply by imagining the words. The new device is being developed in collaboration with UC San Francisco, which has recently made headlines for demonstrating the ability to read minds through MRI. In preliminary experiments, the researchers asked participants questions and then recorded their brain activity while they gave the answers. Using high-density electrocorticographic monitors, the BCI was eventually able to learn which words the patients were thinking of, with an accuracy rate as high as 61%. Former executive for DARPA, Regina Dugan, now a member of Facebook's Advanced Projects division, claims that the V8 neuroprosthetic will allow us to type 5 times faster than we naturally do with our motor neurons. The next step of the V8 neuroprosthetic is to eventually build what Zuckerberg calls a brain mouse, a neural interface that will let the user connect to Facebook's augmented reality feature, bringing social media even more closer to our personal lives than it already is. There will be obvious benefits to this, like a world where we can connect more personally using virtual spaces, despite geographic constraints and physical limitations. It actually sounds pretty great, if it weren't for the fact that Facebook sucks, but I digress. The big deal breaker here for many people is that the Zuck will not only be able to access our personal information through our websites, but now also from our brain. Speaking of which, millions of Americans have already left the social network in 2018, so we can't quite assume that Facebook will be around long enough to actually apply this technology. Lastly, there's Neuralink, started by notorious Tony Stark wannabe, Elon Musk, who at this point needs no introduction. Musk originally decided to create Neuralink after having raised $27 million to help treat stroke and brain lesions.
That's the miracles they're going to perform to make 2/3 take their chip, man.
Last month, with a live-streamed presentation detailing its strategy to connect the human brain to machines. Essentially, Musk's Neural Lace project is intended to be a kind of mesh of electronic fibers, wirelessly transmitting signals from neurons into a computer, basically making human beings themselves an extension of the cloud. Neuralink's presentation included top scientists from the company going into great detail about the system.
Revelation 13 and 14, and deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live, which is the Roman Empire revived as North America, Babylon the Great. So these miracles is going to deceive 2/3 of Israel to take this chip, man.
Planning to install the BCI by literally shooting holes in your skull with lasers and then sealing it back up again. Through these holes, electrodes will be inserted into the brain to direct the neural signals zooming around our head. Each electrode must be at least 60 microns away from the neuron to detect its firing. So clearly, this tech is going to be incredibly invasive. Just invasive enough to tap into the synaptic junctions between our neurons, and then translate that data into computer bits, which will then be picked up by a device behind the ear called the N1 chip. The N1 chip transposes analog data into codes of 1s and 0s, using filaments about 4 to 6 micrometers in diameter, each one connected to 3,072 electrodes. To insert these filaments, Neuralink scientists will be using a remotely operated neurosurgery robot, which can insert about 6 threads per minute. So far, all of Neuralink's technology has only been tested in lab rats, but human trials for the FDA are already lined up for 2020. So in comparison to Zuckerberg and Johnson, Neuralink's
Hey, what did Aaron Russo say, man? They want everybody chipped by 2020, man. So they pushing this technology heavy. I'm talking about fast, okay? On they pushing this RFID microchip, okay? These brain chips on a heavy level, man, because they want everybody chipped, man, ASAP, as soon as possible.
prospects are actually looking pretty good.
And why they want everybody chipped as soon as possible? Because Revelation 12 and 12, the devil shall come down with great wrath because they know that they have but a short time, man. Okay, the Lord said he set their bounds that they cannot pass. So they got to get you 2/3 chipped, man, ASAP.
First application of this technology will be to help people with disabilities. However, it definitely has some untold potential.
That's going to be the miracles.
Well,
That's going to see you 2/3 to take the
the
chip.
idea of writing and sending text using just your thoughts is already mind-blowing enough. But I think the potential of this technology goes way beyond that.
Wow.
One big field of potential is universal human consciousness, which we sort of have already with the internet, but the current bandwidth is very slow, and we have a lot more information out there than our brains could possibly take in.
That's why the 5G finna kick in, man.
But the high bandwidth of neural
That's why they're setting up 5G towers everywhere.
All that information up into the cloud, and perhaps other people could download that content for educational purposes.
I know Kung Fu. Show me.
That's exactly how it's
Perhaps
gonna
the
be,
resulting
man.
overload of information could accelerate the rate of communication between humanity so exponentially that it could bring about vertical curves in every possible graph indicating human progress. It seems that the next phase of the internet will be BrainNet, where we won't only send words and images, but also emotions and feelings. If successful, Neuralink could create a world of extreme empathy, letting us communicate our thoughts, fears, hopes, and anxieties, all without demeaning ourselves through written or spoken language. Another potential application of this technology is next-generation adaptable gaming. In fact, the games of the future will probably never feel repetitive ever again. When it comes to games, players often tend to get accustomed to certain patterns. However, new smart games, integrated with our neural lace, could respond to what your brain is feeling in real time, always staying one step ahead of your expectations. The games of the future will respond to our emotions as we're feeling them, making it much easier to frighten, surprise, or amaze us. There's actually an episode of Black Mirror called Playtest, where a game tester seems to be trying a BCI-based game, complete with enemies that materialize from their worst fears, like spiders. Much of the artificial intelligence that we're developing has already shown itself to be just as creative as a human composer, so these kinds of experiences could actually be right around the corner. But the biggest application of this technology will be taking the very first step to transferring the human mind into mechanical bodies. Specifically, a type of android we call a surrogate. The name being inspired by that famous sci-fi movie with Bruce Willis. Surrogates combined with neural lace would effectively let us perform dangerous tasks with zero risk to the operator. There's actually an entire field of engineering called telerobotics, which is focused on human pilots interfacing with machines to do things like cleaning up nuclear waste, constructing habitats on Mars, or even performing surgery from halfway around the world. If anything, neural lace is the technology that's going to make all this happen. Dare I say it, we might even use this technology to modify our brains and eliminate all suffering. And when I say that, I don't just mean digital orgasm analogs or hedonistic virtual drugs. I'm talking about the elimination of existential suffering as well. It's all very interesting, but will developing these devices really be a good idea in the first place?
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
First off, implanting electrodes into a healthy brain might just be too high of a risk to ever be approved by the FDA. While many Parkinson's patients already receive very similar treatments, it doesn't mean that it's ethical to put perfectly healthy people in danger. We could severely be damaging our memories, personality, or even consciousness itself. Secondly, what is all this technology going to mean for privacy? Are corporations going to start beaming advertisements into our heads while we sleep? And if so, then will we have a neurotech version of AdBlock? Mark Zuckerberg has already started stealing our personal data from our online profiles. So now the big question is, if Elon Musk is going to start doing the same, literally stealing the memories from our brains. Third, there's the question of hackers. Will people start downloading viruses into your head, just as they do to your laptop? You can't just go to the Apple Store and get a new brain. You only ever have one, so what happens if the data gets corrupted? Fourth, exactly how are the majority of people going to be paying
Part
for
of
all
the
this?
Lord's will.
Will 99% of humanity have to go into endless debt just to afford one? What if Neuralink could literally disable your brain if you don't pay your bills on time?
They gonna make it where everybody
Overall,
can get
I
it
still don't
for
quite
free.
know how to feel about this technology.
It's
But I
gonna
am
be
absolutely
mandatory,
certain
man.
About one thing. The fact that Elon Musk will either be remembered as the great savior of humanity, or its downfall. Ultimately, though, we might not have any choice but to try it out. In his recent appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, Musk has a very negative view regarding recent developments in AI, suggesting that one day, artificial intelligence will be able to upgrade itself faster than its human programmers can. This is what's called an intelligence explosion, meaning it could lead to the very extinction of life on this planet as we know it.
It could be terrible, and it could be great. It's not clear.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it.
AI is already beating us at poker. It's
Wow.
beating us at Go. In fact, we've even built an AI that can build other AIs. It can drive our cars, do our taxes, and eventually, it's going to leave us behind, which may result in it seeing us as pets, or even worse, as pests. Because our connection to the machines that we build is severely limited by our keyboards and screens. So
That's why they show you in the movie Terminator 3, The Rise of the Machines, that the cybernet took over, man. Okay? Which we know Yahweh Bashim Yahushua ain't finna let that happen. But the Lord said these devils gonna destroy themselves by their own devices, man.
we can never really tell what it's thinking about, especially when it's thinking about killing us. There might come a time where AI will be learning so fast that
Consider
we'll
the
become to it
ant, man.
what ants are to us.
Right.
Perhaps it might even murder us if we're in the way. So regardless of how we feel about neural lace technology, we'll eventually have to adopt it for our own good, whether it's in 10 years or in 100 years. If we want to stay alive in this world, we're going to have to make ourselves inseparable from the AI that we're constructing. Just as mitochondrial bacteria made itself inseparable from the eukaryotic cells that consumed it. We're going to need some way to digitize our minds so that we can enter AI's thoughts, and hopefully get the software updates every time machine learning enters a new breakthrough. However, this technology would work both ways, meaning that the AI would also be allowed to see our thoughts as well, learning our morals, our values, and our way of thinking, becoming more like us as we're becoming more like it. It sounds pretty scary, but it's definitely good news. Because if we can understand it, and it can understand us, then there essentially won't ever be a need for conflict. If information is able to flow seamlessly between AI and our brains, then we might even become symbiotic with AI, perhaps even sharing its superhuman cognition. According to Musk himself, neural lace will be the next inevitable step in human evolution. There is a certain degree of truth to this. Our brain is made up of several layers that correspond to different periods of life on this planet. First we have the brainstem, or lizard brain, which controls basic bodily functions. Then we developed the limbic system, or mammalian brain, which controls emotion and survival mechanisms. And finally, we developed the cortex, the rational part of the brain that makes conscious decisions related to space and time. Elon describes the neural lace as just another layer of this process. It's really just the next chapter in a story that's already been going on for billions of years. In conclusion, there are many social implications for this technology that we haven't even begun to imagine. So it's best that we start asking questions early and continue asking them often. Because if we don't, then we might find the answers to those questions taking us by surprise.
Oh yeah, it's gonna take you by surprise, okay? When they make it mandatory that everybody get the RFID microchip, which is mark of the beast, and the brain implant in your hand and your foreheads, it's gonna be by surprise because you 2/3 ain't aware of this, man.
With BCIs and neural lace, it's it's not difficult to imagine a post-human future in which a complete merger of man and machine is possible. You might be quick to think that this is a dystopian technology, but for the first person to fall into a fire pit, so was fire. It's also easy to be cynical about neural lace ever becoming widespread, but sometimes you just get a technology that's so compelling that can't simply be dismissed as a fad. And I think neural lace is one such technology. It could very well be the next big turning point in the evolution of our species. It could certainly be the way that humanity will level up, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
It promises nothing less than to make us geniuses, help us defeat AI, and even grant us immortality. Because with BCIs, you can do anything you put your mind to.
And that's gonna be the miracle, okay? To make you 2/3 take that, man. Cause 2/3 of Jake is bugged out, man.
A few days ago, a group of scientists, doctors, environmental organizers, and concerned citizens got together and they called for the urgent stop to the deployment of 5G. They said that it's been proven harmful to human bodies, that this is an experiment on humanity, and that this should be called a crime under international law.
5G is a weapon. It's used by the military. Do you know these 5G millimeter wave technologies are used to scatter crowds? They drive up in this technology when they want to scatter a cloud, and they put out these frequencies in a much higher power than 5G will be initially with us, but the same frequencies. And people scatter because they get the feeling their skin is on fire, because the human body, including the skin, is an antenna. It interacts with frequencies and it receives and transmits information. At the cutting edge of understanding of DNA, scientists know that DNA is a receiver-transmitter of information.
I have to tell people 5G story. It's bigger than the Holocaust. It's bigger than anything you've ever heard. I'm Mark Steele, anybody who hasn't heard me. I'm a weapons systems head-up display expert, one of the leading experts in the world. I've actually brought cover in relation to this. The reason I became an expert was because I invented 5G as a killer. Do not believe a single word I say. Not one. I want you to do your own research. You'll find it's absolutely terrifying.
There are going to be boxes broadcasting 5G, this weapon, down every street, all over the world.
What we're concerned about 5G is that it's going to require a transmitter about every 3 to 10 homes. So you're talking about a small cell tower placed in front of your home.
Because at these high frequencies, you can't
It doesn't travel very well.
Yeah.
And people need to understand, it's 24 gigahertz to 90 gigahertz. These are not 2 feet. These are 2 inches to half an inch. And this is very dense wireless radiation hitting our bodies. What we know is that it pulses more, it's got higher frequency, more waves per second, it beats up the cells more.
Let's talk about today's technology, what we have going on today. Your phone is constantly sending electromagnetic fields in and out of each other. Whether or not you're receiving a notification right now, all of our digital tech sends this data back and forth, right, using these invisible microwave radiation signals. That's today's tech. We have every cell tower, every router constantly pulsing with radiation, whether or not you're using it. Science shows that this causes DNA damage, cancer, among other things. But don't take my word for it.
And that's just with 4G.
That's just with today's technology.
Before we get to 5G, right now you got some of it, but not that much.
Wireless radiation has biological effects, period. These effects are seen in all life forms: plants, animals, insects, microbes. In humans, we have clear evidence of cancer now. There is no question. We have evidence of DNA damage, cardiomyopathy, which is the precursor of congestive heart failure, neuropsychiatric effects. So 5G is not a conversation about whether or not these biological effects exist. They clearly do. 5G is a conversation about unsustainable healthcare expenditure.
This is Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. These devils is trying to kill you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Okay? This is the work of the devil to try to get rid of you Jakes, man. Okay? because they want their birthright back, which we know they can't get. But they trying to find any type of way to destroy you jakes before their time runs out, man. Okay? Job 13:4. Matter of fact, Job 14:5. And it reads, real quick, Job 14:5. And it reads, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. With who? Yahweh. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Okay? You got to understand, man. These devils finna come down with great wrath because they know they have but a short time. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. And it reads, Revelation chapter 12 and 12. All these precepts linked together. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, talking about you elect Israel, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, the elect. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. They tell you that in Isaiah 24:5. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, meaning the midst of all the different people, right? Because this is the great melting pot. For the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he know that he have but a short time. Okay? These devils know that they got a short time and they're gonna come down with great wrath. They got to, man. Cause this is their last stand, man. Okay? This is all they got, man. This is Psalms 104, verse 9. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, who the Edomites, that they turn not again to cover the earth. What did Job 9:24 say? The earth was given to the hand of the wicked. Okay? The Lord set a bound that these devils can't pass. So they're going to come down with great wrath, man. And if you don't have on the arm of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you are going to be destroyed. Whether it's martial law, concentration camps, famine, race riot, pestilences, or you going to get hit with the missiles. Hey, or you going to take the RFID microchip, man. One of the several, many things that's coming, you will be a part of if you don't seek the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, while you got time.
So we are electromagnetic, electrical organisms, transmitters and receivers of information. When our electromagnetic fields are in balance and harmony, we have health. We have psychological health and we have physical health. The reason that this technological society is causing so much psychological and, quote, physical disease is because these frequencies, technologically driven, and we live in this Wi-Fi world now and all the phone masts and all the rest of it, these technologically generated frequencies are scrambling the balance of the human electromagnetic electrical communication systems. And if you scramble them, you create a state of disharmony, dis-ease, which plays through to physical and mental, emotional, psychological dis-ease. And there's another point to this. The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically, and it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology's long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna. Okay. Now, some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh God, you cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
Okay, so 5G is going to be weaponized against us potentially.
Yeah, but the point being that they worked out the frequencies of various emotions, including rage and what have you. And basically, they can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing. And it starts to have an effect. And it starts to build rage. It starts to build anger. And people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event. Maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit. And now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper's been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do. And you can make people depressed. You know, the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy, that basically breaks the enemy's spirit so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with. Now you take that into account and then you think of 5G. First of all, 5G doesn't travel well because of the nature of its frequency. So instead of big towers, as we have now, broadcasting these frequencies long distances, it won't do that. And it doesn't go through solid objects, what we call solid objects, very well either. So to overcome that, there are going to be boxes broadcasting 5G, this weapon, down every street, all over the world. You're talking phenomenal numbers of these boxes broadcasting, like on the lampstand outside your children's bedroom and stuff, broadcasting this stuff. There's no way you'll be able to go where you'd be in a field of 5G. And another interesting thing, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but the story broke first of all in Sheffield, when the council started cutting down literally thousands and thousands and thousands of mature trees in urban streets.
Because they are the devils, man.
Protests about it. You know, Sheffield claimed to be a green city.
They are the deceivers of the earth, man.
Trees were coming down, thousands of them. And my brother,
deforestation,
as
the Edomites doing that.
Bus mechanic. So a bus will break down, they'll call him, he'll come down and fix it on the side of the road. So he's traveling all the time. And he's saying it's amazing how many mature trees are being cut down. Now, the worst nightmare of 5G in a street is mature trees, because it can't get through them. They don't want urban trees for 5G because it won't go through solid objects very well at all, and it doesn't travel far. So we're going to have this explosion of 5G transmitters, and then, going back to what I said earlier, and they've admitted this too, there's going to be like 20,000 satellites up there beaming 5G at the Earth.
What is our exposure in a day? It's not one cell phone. It's cell phones, it's multiple wireless networks, it's smart meters, it's cell towers. It's this sandwich, and it all adds up. And this is a serious problem for occupational health, public safety, and personal safety. And I feel that it's irresponsible to be even talking about the Internet of Things and rolling out a new untested technology when we're not even measuring what are our current exposures from the current networks.
And that's what it is, man. These devils is finna destroy. What you gotta understand is, this is the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man. Okay? First Samuel 2:6, the Lord say, I killeth and maketh alive. Okay, I wound and I heal. Deuteronomy 30:20-39 say the same thing, man. Okay? Isaiah 45:7 say the same thing, man. I create light and darkness. I create evil and peace. I, the Lord, do all these things, man. Okay? The Heavenly Father Yahweh have these Edomites. He have given these Edomites the technology to destroy you Jakes, man. To destroy 2/3 of Jakes, man. Okay? He have given them the technology just to destroy you, Jakes. This has nothing to do with none of the 17 heathen nations. Okay? 18 nations on the earth. The 12 tribes of Israel is one nation. The other 17 nations, the Lord doesn't care about them, man. Okay? He is setting up these Edomites and their technology to destroy 2/3 of you Jakes, man. Okay? And if you don't wake up, you're going to be destroyed, man. This is Psalms chapter 10 and verse 2. And it reads, Psalms chapter 10 verse 2. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, Salakia. Psalms 10 and 2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. This is Psalms chapter 9. In Psalms chapter 9, verse 15. And it reads, the heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made, and the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which if he execute, the wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. Okay? The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forgot power. So everything they doing, man, is going to fall upon them. It's going to fall upon them, okay? This is Psalms 33 and 10, and it reads, the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. Okay? So these devices that these devils, read again, Psalm 33 and 10. The Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. So everything these devils trying to do, man, okay? When it comes to the elect, the Lord gonna bring it to naught, man. But 2/3 gonna get taken by these things. This is Job chapter 5 and verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Then he said he make the wisdom of this world foolishness. And by the foolishness of preaching, to condemn them who think they are wise. And the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. These things that these devils going to try to do will not come to pass, man. Okay? Back in Psalms 141. Psalms 141 and verse 7. And it reads, oh no, Salaki. Psalm 141 verse 9. Keep me from the snare which they have laid for me, and the gins, which is traps of the workers of iniquity. Verse 10. Let the wicked fall into their own nets, which that I will escape. Okay? And you will escape if you trust in the Heavenly Father Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. Now this is Psalms 140, verse 7, and it reads, O power, the Lord Yahweh, the strength of my salvation, thou hast covered my head in the day of battle. What battle? Jacob's trouble. Okay? Grant not, O Lord Yahweh, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves. Salah. Hey. And he ain't, man. Okay? He said again, Psalm 140 and 7. O power, the Lord Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, the strength of my salvation, thou hast covered my head in a day of battle. And when you read Psalm 91, okay, starting at verse 1 down to verse 10, okay, it tell you that, hey, if you cover in the shadow of the Almighty under his feathers, he's going to have his angels, he's going to give his angels charge over thee, okay? verse 10. It reads, actually verse 9. Psalm 140 and verse 9. It said, as for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Okay? They said they're going to fall upon their own sword, man. Let burning coals fall upon them, which is the missiles. Let them be cast into the fire. Okay, into deep pits that they rise not up again. And I tell you that all through Job, man. Okay? This is this is Psalms going back. Hey, cause all through Psalms, man, about the devices of the wicked, man. And they gonna be destroyed by their own devices, man. This is Psalms chapter 9. Oh yeah, it's like I read that. So let's go to Psalms 21. Psalms 21 and 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. What anger? That righteous anger, man. That righteous judgment. The Lord Yahweh shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Don't it say in Obadiah 1:18 that Esau shall be stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and there shall not be any remaining in the house of Esau, man? Okay? Again, Psalms 21 and 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven. And that's Malachi 4 and 1. They shall come, they shall burn as an oven. Babylon the Great, okay? The Edomites and the heathen nations and 2/3 of Israel. In the time of thine anger, the Lord Yahweh shall swallow them up in his wrath, and the fire shall devour them. Their fruit shall thou destroy from the earth, meaning his whole seed line, his lineage. It tell you in Obadiah 1:18, okay? And the house of Esau, meaning his whole nation, his whole lineage, okay? And their seed from among the children of men. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device. Okay? Which is what? Their 5G technology, man. Okay? Their brain implants. Their hand implants. Their body implants, man. Which they are not able to perform. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back. When thou shalt make ready thine arrows, which is the missiles, upon the strings against the face of them. Who? The Edomites, man. Be thou exalted, Yahweh, in thy own strength. So will we sing and praise thy power. Amen. These devils is going down, man. Okay? And there's nothing that they can do, man. This is Psalm 36. Let me see what this one reads. Oh, Psalm 36 and 11. Let not the foot of the pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. There are the workers of iniquity fallen. They are cast down and shall not be able to rise. Okay? And this the will and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, man. So you gotta be in good chill, man. Okay? What Yahweh Shah said? Hey, he have overcame the world, man. This is Psalms 11 and 6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup, man. Okay? But then he said their cup is going to be a double portion in Jeremiah 49 and 12. Okay? In Revelation 18 and 6. Okay? They shall have a double portion, man. Jeremiah 51 and 6, man. Hey, it's going to be beautiful, man. Matter of fact, Jeremiah 49 and 12. Let's read about that cup, man. Jeremiah 49 and 12. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Talking about you Israelites, you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. Drink of what? Psalms 11 and 6. Upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. Okay? Jeremiah 51:6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Okay? The nations are mad, man. And when you go to Jeremiah 16, it says this. Jeremiah 16 and verse Jeremiah 16 and 18. At first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. What's the land? The land of Israel, man. These gutter rats over there in our land. They have filled my inheritance with their carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. Okay? So you devils gotta pay, man. You devils gotta pay, man. Revelation 18. And I'm gonna start at verse 4. And it reads, Revelation chapter 18 and 4. This is all about the cup that these devils finna drink, man. Revelation 18 and 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, you so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, the elect, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive none of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and power have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. Okay? That's talking about the Edomites, man. They finna have a double portion, man. Thus saith the Lord. Closing precept. This is Psalms 73 and verse 5. And it reads, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence covered them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness, they have more than hearts could wish. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. Okay? That's them devils, man. And guess what? This is my closing precept. Job 21 and 16. For the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover you Edomites, man. Job 21 and 13. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Okay? In a moment go down to the grave. Oh, the one I wanted was let me see. I think it's Psalms 37. Yeah. Psalm 37 in verse 20. And it reads. Matter of fact, let me start at 17. Oh, no, this is Psalms 37. And let me start at 14. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, which is you elect of Israel, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Their swords shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. Okay? For the arm of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. What evil time? Jacob's trouble. And in the days of famine, they shall be satisfied. It tell you that in Isaiah 65, okay, 13. His servants shall eat and drink, but 2/3 and the heathens shall be hungry and in a pitiful case. Psalm 37:20. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord Yahweh shall be as fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke, shall they consume away. Okay? So with that, gotta give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rukakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth throughout the four ends of the earth, waking up the hope for the elect. Shalom to the Akwa for our listening and learning. Shalom.